afternoon, everybody, family and friends. Aloha to our Hawaii family. So grateful all of you guys are able to be here for our father, brother, and friend from us, you guys, for Michael Lance Visitacion. We're gonna go ahead and get started with his best friend and his brother, Uncle Tamer, and then we'll follow that. We'll have Lisa, myself, Marina will go, Josh, Nolan, and Angelina, and we'll have our closing prayer. And we'll go ahead and all go to the gym over here for luncheon and dinner to hang out and be able to spend time with family. So, thank you.
Hey everybody. I practiced this quite a bit, and I said we would not have any tears, but let's do our best. I think we're all feeling the same thing, which is, what are we doing here? This is impossible. But here we are, and we can all take solace that Mike was a very strong believer in God's plan, and we are exactly where we need to be. He would be so happy to see everybody here. This room could not have any more love in it for anybody. The bigger question I have is, why am I here? Because we had every reason never to be friends. Never. We should have never, ever been here together like this. And the only reason we were was because of who Mike was. So, we were all in high school together. This will give you an idea. And a lot of his friends in high school are here in this room. I knew him, but we weren't close. And I left high school a year early, and they invited me back he was having a party at his house. I don't know if he told you that he was having a party at the house. And then I went there, and we had a good time, and thank you, Zarina, for inviting me to that. And we were all done, we had a great time, and I left. And at the time, I was driving a Suzuki Samurai, which is important for the story because I was driving away, and I hear, as I'm driving away, Mike say, hey, wait up. And you have to understand, Mike he owns the room. He's the coolest guy, funniest guy. I mean, I'm pretty good too, but he was the funniest guy. And he's saying, what's up? And this is, his house. And he says, stop. He goes, give me your number. I'm like, what's up? He says, no, we need to get together. And I know for a fact if he didn't do that, not only would I not be here, but my life would be very different. Not in a good way. So my job here is to maybe share a story or two that will shed some light on something maybe you didn't know about Mike, so let's give it a go. I already told you, in any room he was in, you were just in awe of just how comfortable and kind and funny and awesome he was, not only himself, but how he made everybody feel. But that is not what defined him. By the way, whoever put this here, thank you. What defined him most, and for all of us who were his friends, and there are a lot of us in this room, is he was a very fierce competitor. Very. In the sense that everything was a skill or a game to be excellent at. There was no excuse. In his mind, We should all be excellent at whatever we do, and if you weren't, he was going to crush you, and you were going to regret it. But he was hardest on himself. And some things that he did that are not to be, glanced over. These are big things. And this happened very early on. Mike, as some of you know, was a pretty awesome bowler. I did some stats on this one. The chances of, this is for a sanctioned bowler, not any one of us, right? During a sanctioned league game, of getting a 300, which is a perfect game for those who don't know, is 1 in 5,000. 0.0001%. That's your chances as a sanctioned game getting a 300 game. Mike had 2. Okay? If you're ever in Diamond Bar, California, you go to Oak Tree Lanes, his plaque is on the wall. And not to belabor it, but for those who don't bowl, the only reason I know how to bowl is because Mike taught me. 300 is 12 strikes in a row. It's a perfect game. It is not just throwing a bowling ball down 12 times and knocking pins down. It is 1,000 adjustments. The lanes change. You change where you step. You change how you step. You change the rotations on the ball. You're doing all of that. He did that 2 times for a 300 game. That's who he was. In his mind, if you're going to do something, do it perfect. Do it as best you can. And if you couldn't do it, then you weren't being hard enough on yourself. I know this hits you with the softball stuff, so I'm going to tread lightly. The other thing he was impressive. Remember, we grew up at a time before Google and all these things. He was Google when it came to sports knowledge. There wasn't a stat, a player in a sport that he didn't know everything that there was to know. Everything. And he reminded us of that. He was proud of it. And the other thing, I believe this is passed on to you, Josh, was his karaoke was insane. Insane. In his peak, he could do Earth, Wind, and Fire Reasons, which is a very high falsetto. Later in life, that went away. We spoke in movie quotes, which was awesome, and everything, like I said, was a competition. I remember a long drive to Vegas from Los Angeles, where the competition was who had a better Casey Kasem impersonation. This is important stuff. Or quoting a particular line from Back to the Future, which was, "You built a time machine out of a DeLorean," which is pretty good. But in his competition, Mike, even at a very early age, had the spirit and the soul of a champion. The idea that pushing yourself to win and to be the best, that is the spirit of a champion. And he had it, like I said, his whole life. To know him was to see it. But doesn't mean he was good at everything. We carpooled from West Covina to Irvine, California for about 4 or 5 years. He was a terrible carpool partner. Terrible. Woke up late and we were tired at the end of every day. And I would just ask him, please, just stay awake, talk to me so I don't fall asleep at the wheel. And when we'd get home and I'd wake him up and I wouldn't even say bye to him. I was so unhappy with him. But we did manage to do something, which was we happy houred 3 times a week for those 4 years. And that was everything. Everything. It was, our 20s together was us figuring things out. We didn't know, who we were going to end up with. We didn't know, we didn't have any grand goals. We just wanted to do the best that we could in those days. right? But we did figure it out. Over lots of pitchers of beer and lots of $2 pizzas. That's how much a happy hour pizza was back then. And so we didn't have a lot, but in those years together, we felt like kings. And in talking everything through and getting to understand what we wanted out of life and how we were going to do it, he found his mate, and I found mine. And we started families, and like most folks, we focused on that. But throughout all of it, we were together every step of the way. And when that happens, when you see that transition from being young kids and growing up together to being a husband, a father, it's a clear transition, it's a clear break. And there's something that Mike did when that happened that I never fully understood until much later in life. Mike and Sarah worked at a company called OCB Reprographics in Irvine, California. And I only mention them because they have a policy that I wish every company I worked for had a policy like this. But they had a 10-year gift, a watch. It was a gold watch they would give to any employee that was with them for 10 years. And it was generous, it's great. And we would talk about it. You're gonna get your tenure next year, and so on and so forth. So Mike knows, I'm about to, he's getting married, I'm about to get married. And he says, I need to see you. And he presents me his 10-year watch. And I go, what's this? He goes, this is it. I've been waiting to give it to you. And I was like, why would you do that? He says what Mike would say, because I don't get here without you. Come to find, that wasn't the part that was the most memorable. The part of that was the most memorable was many years later. I come to find that when they were moving from California to Vegas, that was happening at 9 years and 10 months of his tenure at the company. And they already bought their house out here. And they buy it and leave the house here empty for 2 months, paying for it, while he continues working in California to get this watch. Who does that? That guy does. I may want that watch back. All right, so not being kids anymore, now he's an adult. Remember I told you earlier how he was, what his spirit was. All of that, all of him was focused on one thing and almost nothing else. And that was being the very best dad he could be. It is a real gift in this life to know why you're here. To not be confused. Because once you figure that out, the rest seems easy. And Mike had that clarity. I knew it when he committed the ultimate sin of any man, and he bought a minivan. And I begged him not to do that. But he loved that Toyota Sienna. He loved it because it was everything for these guys. It was everything. He said, we go everywhere. I go to the games with them. I get packed full of stuff. He loved it because that's who he was. And that wouldn't go away, by the way. You guys know that most of his, his life bringing the kids up, he was a single dad, effectively. And here I am, I'm his best friend. And I've got plenty of, other friends, not Mike, best friends, other friends, who go through things, and you want to remind them, hey, your personal life, who you are individually, what you want. Even though you're a dad and you've got responsibilities, you still need to take care of you. And he wouldn't have it. He wouldn't have. We spent so much time about this. What about her? What about that? Never ever took it seriously. There was a reason in his mind. Nothing was worth the potential risk of getting into this fortress he built for these kids. And it was a fortress. Hardest worker I ever knew. It's easy to forget today, but he worked more than 10 years in the graveyard shift. First as a dealer, and then in the casinos. Exactly. I'm not going to just besmirch his character. He was my dealer for many years. He was a car dealer in the casinos. And then he went and did casino surveillance for many years, but it was always in the graveyard shift. And it took a toll on him because he couldn't be there and carry a normal schedule with his kids. But with the support of his family, who was always around him, he made it work. He handled it. He was, like I said, focused on one thing and one thing only, and that family made that work. Now, the day he moved to day shift was huge. It was huge. It changed everything for him. He was so happy. I could spend time with the kids. I could take them here. We could do this. He still didn't have the weekends regular, but it was a step towards normal. The whole time this is happening, we're talking 15 years, I'm thinking, wow, what a guy who sacrifices so much for his kids. And I was wrong. This wasn't a sacrifice to him. This was Mike being Mike. This was Mike doing what he felt was his purpose. And so for him, he found joy and happiness in being like that. The champion in him that was perfect for 12 frames and got 200-300 games was the same one who was a champion for his kids. And that doesn't change. The next part, when you hear about that's how he lived his life, that he had purpose and he had God, tells you exactly what happens when he gets the news that he gets on the 27th of December. While it's devastating and has as sure an outcome as any diagnosis can have, I told you that a 300 game is 0.0001%. This one had 6 or 7%. And in his mind, he said, I'll take those odds. Let's do it. And that's what we all did as a family. We fought like hell and helped him fight like hell. Can I say hell here? For much longer than anyone would have given him. There were, people count the days from the time you're diagnosed to the time that, God takes you. But it's not that. There's a series of huge waves, and you've got to get through those to get the next few weeks. And you've got to get through the next one to get to the next few weeks. And he met every one of those as a champion. And he did that until his final day. There was not a day where he said, I'm done. And I know that because I was the one to ask him, do you want to keep going? And his answer was always, Sarah, you were there. I want to keep fighting. In this terrible, terrible disease, fighting is, he'll be happy I used a sports analogy. Fighting is a game of inches, a game of small calories, because you are trying to put just a little bit more weight on you to give yourself a little bit more time. I told you that small adjustments, small things, being very, very focused on what to do was how he won things. This was no different. Microscopic sips of a high-calorie shake bought him another day and another day until there just wasn't any more body left to do it. But up until that last second, he fought. Who amongst us can do that? Who amongst us has the purpose in life to do that? It was always these guys. It was always this family. And it was always the comfort knowing that he was doing everything he was doing for the sake of God. A lot of people, when this happens, would like to think, oh, he found God, especially in the end. That is not the case. I will tell you that Mike, years before this, shared with me, because we worship God in different ways, but we worship God. He said he found such peace, this is years ago, in finding scripture every night before he went to bed. And that means so much, because you don't want to wait until you have no choice. It was as if he was preparing himself long before any of this happened. It is very clear to me everybody in this room misses Mike. And will miss Mike for a lot longer than we all think. But he is still here. And if you ever have any doubt, he was a champion, he was a king. His royalty sits right behind me. These guys are him. Make no mistake. There are so many times where I'll be in another room and I'll hear somebody say something, I'll think it's Mike and it's not, it's one of these guys. I see it in Angelina's eyes, that fierce competitive spirit. That's why I'm scared of what's in your belly. But seriously, it's important for all of us to not walk out of here and say, we miss Mike, and that's it. If you really miss Mike, and you really want to see Mike, then see them. Spend time with them. Buy them a cup of coffee, and you'll get a little bit of Mike. Maybe a lot. So I know I'll do that. I love this family, and I'll miss Mike, but I'll be with you guys. Thank you very much for that.
Mike was everything you could hope for in a brother. He made everything a little more lively and a lot more fun. He was one of my very best friends. He was someone who walked beside me through life, in childhood, in family, and in friendship. When we were kids, we shared bittersweet sibling rivalries, yet even in our differences, we shared the foundation of life and family. Growing up, he would take me outside to play. He taught me how to catch, throw, and hit a baseball. He taught me how to shoot a basketball. He even taught me how to fight. which makes me think he really wanted a little brother. But he made the best of what he was given, just like he did with everything else in his life. Over the years, I began to realize just how much he meant to me. It wasn't the countless times he was there for me and my family in a big way. It was also the small acts of kindness. A couple of times he invited us over for a family dinner, and when we got there was a birthday cake for me. He didn't tell me it was for my birthday, he just did it. Another time, he drove my daughter to her prom and picked her up for me, just so I could go to a Golden Knights game. When I asked him if he would do it, he said, absolutely. Go have fun, you deserve it. When I was ill with COVID, he brought me Siamese soup. What brother brings their sister soup when they're sick? Mike did. He was always so thoughtful and kind, and it never crossed his mind that he was doing anything generous. It was just who he was. Mike and I were fortunate enough to raise our children together, which is something I will always treasure. I was amazed watching him be a dad. He created a structured yet loving home. He cooked, he cleaned, he played games with his kids, he sang with them, he played instruments with them, sports, and he also had hard and honest conversations with them. As a father, he embraced the joy and the hard work equally and devoted his life to Sarah and his children. Being a father and husband was the greatest joy of his life. When life presented its toughest challenges, he faced them with a faith and grace that was inspiring. Throughout his battle, he fought tirelessly and walked in faith devotedly. On his first day of chemo, I couldn't find the right words to say, so I simply texted, "I love you." He replied, "Love you too, sis. I've waited 6 weeks for this day, and God has blessed me. This is his path, and I am following him. Love you with all I have." I knew he felt my fear, and he responded honestly, but also to give me comfort and peace, even at a time where I should have given him comfort and peace. Because no matter what the situation was, he always made sure his little sister was okay. He reminded me that even in the darkest times, there is hope and strength to be found. So today, I remember him with a smile. Thank you for being my brother and one of my very best friends. I miss your voice, I miss your laughter, and your random funny text messages. I miss you so much. Rest in peace, Mike. You've earned it.
Bet you guys are all wondering who this white kid is that's up here, but I'm Mike's son-in-law, so. I'm also glad that Auntie and Tamara cried a little bit, because I won't look such a big baby when I start crying here in a second as well. So I kind of wanted to share a few stories that I have with Mike. My first one that I thought of was first time I ever met Mike. I went to go pick up his daughter. I was 17, had the craziest haircut I ever, straight mop on my head right here. And I opened the door and I went to give him a handshake like normal, and I said, like, "What's up?" And I gave him a handshake. And super normal for me, 'cause that's how I talk. But little did I know, Mike went inside. I took Andrew, left. He went inside to his boys here, Nolan and Josh. And he goes up and he grabs his little hat, puts it sideways like this, and he's like, "What's up, guys? What's up?" Like, just making fun of me like he always does. And he said to the boys, I didn't know this, but they just filled me in on this part. He said, like, same crap with his hands, whatever he's doing, being a little gangster, how he was. He said, "What's up? My name's Jake, and I'm here to take your daughter on a date." Another part I didn't know, he said, "Boys, when you go to take a girl on a date and meet their father, you don't say what's up. You shake their hand and say, 'Hello, sir, good to meet you.'" So it was a good start for me. But he got over it, obviously, so now I'm married his daughter. All right. He didn't let go of that joke for probably till we got married. So it took us like 3, 4, 5 years of us knowing each other before he stopped saying that crap to me. My second story is when I went to go ask him if I could marry Ange. And I just barely got back from my mission. So I was pretty much out of high school. Then I just barely got my first job. I didn't have a house. I didn't really know what my future was going to look like. But I knew I wanted to marry his daughter, so I shot him a text and asked if we could meet up. We met up during his lunch break at Panera Bread, and I get out of the car, I learned my lesson, so I went to go shake his hand and say, "Hello, sir, good to meet you." But I got out of the car, and he just walked up to me and says, the answer is no." I said hello, and he said, "Answer is no." And I was all right, and you know him, his face is a straight face, so I didn't know if he was joking. I wasn't 100% sure. But then he just pat me on my back and said, "Let's go inside." We went inside, got some food. He wouldn't let me pay for it. We sat down, and I don't really remember exactly what else I said other than him pretty much just being so happy. We sat down, and he said, "Of course, I would love for you to be part of this family." He told me, I don't want to brag or anything, but he just said I was the best son-in-law he ever asked for. And he told me I was the best son-in-law all the time because I'm his only son-in-law, obviously. So that was pretty easy. Didn't have to fight for that spot, I guess. He told us that he knew we were going to be successful. He saw the desire in our eyes to have a family, to just get after life, how he is to be a champion. Obviously his daughter's like him, and she's just as crazy as he is about winning, so we're going to win. Dang, I'm crying more than they did, so I'm kind of losing here. So my last story that I have, this was the second day he was in the hospital or so. I don't know if he had found out his diagnosis or whatever, but it was me, him, and Ange, and no one else really thinks the story is funny, but it's freaking cracking me up, so I'm gonna share it with you guys. So he was they put him on a clear liquid diet only. They needed to do a scan to see what was going on in there. And I'm gonna read it off here so I don't mess this up. The nurse just said clear liquids only. He said, what if I blended a double from In-N-Out and eat that? And they were like, "No, that's not a clear liquid." And he came back and he said, "Well, it's clearly a double. At least you guys laughed a little bit. I started cracking up in there in the hospital, and Andrew was kind of chuckling, nurses, whatever. But I thought it was hilarious. Alright. Something my dad gave me was trying whenever I talk about family. So thanks for that, Dad. Mike was a great man and a great father-in-law, the best I could ever ask for. When I asked his daughter to marry me, or when I asked him if I could marry his daughter, I went from being, a scared kid, pretty much out of high school, to, having an awesome father-in-law that I knew would guide me and help me out. Me and him had this is when I'm gonna cry the most. Me and him, we talked a lot of mornings on the couch together, hanging out, watching his baseball that he loves. Could never get into as much as him, but I tried my best to act like I was interested. We talked about, putting grass in his backyards for his grandkids to play in. building a fireplace so Lola could sit on his lap while they cooked s'mores and hung out as a family. There's a lot of things that he wanted to do, but I know he was grateful for his 53 years of life and everything he was able to accomplish in that time. I'm super sad to think about all the joy that Lola and all of our kids will miss out on from not knowing their Papa Mike, but we'll make sure that they know him. But I know that they're gonna miss out on this dude's crazy jokes. I don't know how he was so good. He's just freaking funny as crap, and I can never keep up with him. So now I gotta compete with that, but Joshy and Ange and Nolan will make up for it. They're just as funny as him, so I can't wait to see him again one day. He was the greatest example of love I've ever seen in a father. I promised him that I would take care of his family while he was gone. And I know that that he trusts me, asks for anything to do that. So I'm gonna take care of him for him and be there for him how he wants me to and needs me to. And I'm gonna continue to be a great husband, a great brother, and a great father to his grandkid. So I love him, and I'll see him again, Big Biz. So thank you.
Hi everyone. Another white person you probably haven't seen. I'm not married to Ange though, so. Thank you all for coming to be here and celebrate Mike and his life. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Angie, Nolan, and Josh's sister. Some of you might know me as Mike's bonus daughter, that's what we like to call me. Mike is one of the most incredible people in my life. Hey, I can't get there either. Okay. He truly exemplified everything it meant to be a loving and supporting father. So much that he was willing to share that all with me. Despite our situation, Mike never hesitated to let me into his family and allow me to experience all of his love. When I was born, he was the first person to hold me, so I guess I can really say we do go way back. I've truly never known a day without him and his love in my life. For as long as I can remember, he's always been involved and gone above and beyond for me. He's always made me feel included and loved. Every time I came down to Vegas, he always had something special planned just for me. Whether it was a trip to the MGM, just going to the water park, or a karaoke night where he killed all of us. He never failed to make me feel special during all of the time that we spent together. Even the time I chest bumped his TV and broke it. As I got older, softball became a huge part of our relationship. Some of my most favorite memories are us at the batting cages while he helped me perfect my swing and pitching, and with my sister, of course. As I got more serious with softball, one of his favorite things to do was mail me one of Ange's old bats so I could use it. Never as good as her. He loved to watch videos of me hitting, even if they weren't up to his high standards. I'll never forget the time I hit my first out of the park home run. He was overjoyed with happiness and he was so proud of me. I was so happy to show him that all the time and advice he had put into me had paid off. Regardless of the distance in our lives, he never failed to stay involved and up to date with everything going on. If you've ever been to his house, you know everything in the house is in fours. There's 4 school photos of us, 4 really cheesy art projects we all made him, and 4 photos of each of us from Hawaii. Though I don't live in that house, he never failed to let me know that that was my home too. Another one of my favorite memories was a couple years ago. He was dropping me off to fly back to Syracuse. We hugged goodbye and he broke down crying. He immediately told me he loved me just as much as my siblings and he wished I could stay in Vegas and all of us could be together. Well, we may not be blood. Oh, sorry, my paper's getting blurry. He supported me, comforted me, encouraged me, appreciated me, showed up for me time and time again, and loved me so much that I never failed to feel like his daughter. Ever since he passed away, I constantly look through photos and videos of us and reread all of our messages. He never failed to tell me how much he loved me and how proud he was of me. He always expressed an immense gratitude that I allowed him to be a part of my life and the relationship that we had. He would constantly send me anything that made him think of me, whether it was a photo of his In-N-Out burger, him at a baseball game, mozzarella balls, or just a photo of the two of us. He didn't hesitate to let me know he was thinking about me. And every single holiday, without fail, he would text me how much he loved me, missed me, and he couldn't wait for the day all 6 of us could celebrate it together. He truly just loved me and my siblings. He once texted me a 4.5-minute video of all of us as kids and said, "Myrna being Myrna, and this is why we love you so much." I really don't know how else to describe the video other than 4.5 minutes of hell. It was me being an absolute brat. It was Josh's birthday, and after he blew out the candles, I made my mom relight them so I could blow them out myself. I whined and complained the whole time, and I begged to get the first slice of cake. My siblings were so patient, easygoing, and positive, and I was the absolute opposite of them as a kid. But to Mike, that was just me being me, and he loved me. Even in my most annoying moments, he loved me more than you could imagine. His love was truly radiant, and it could light up a room. Well, Mike has mailed me countless birthday cards and Christmas cards, softball bats, and stupid In-N-Out shirts that remind me of him, which I still feel like that's an insult that he always thinks about me at In-N-Out. The greatest gift he ever gave me were my best friends, my siblings. My brother Nolan is one of the most hardworking and determined people that I know. I've always admired his dedication and drive, and quite honestly been super jealous of it. His willingness to help others is something that I admire about him as well. Whether it's little things like opening the car door for a mom, or pulling out his card when we get to the register at In-N-Out, Nolan has always been extremely patient with me. And anyone that's grown up with me knows that I was awful. I was an absolute terror. Think of the biggest brat you know and multiply it by 10. That was seriously how I was. No matter how I acted or what fit I was throwing, no one ever raised his voice at me. His kindness and how gentle he was always brought me a sense of comfort, and his character hasn't changed since. I'm so blessed to have watched him grow into a strong, kind, and loving individual he is today. My brother Josh, he was practically my twin growing up. We were attached at the hip. We were literally dumb and dumber. Anything Josh did, I did. Anywhere he went, I followed, and anything he said, I said. In one of our home videos as a kid, while we were singing and dancing, he looked to the camera and said, "Hi, I'm Joshy." And a few moments later, I literally introduced myself by saying, "Hi, I'm Joshy." In another video of us playing Pictionary as kids, I kid you not, after every guess Joshy said, I said the exact same thing, which completely defeats the whole purpose of Pictionary. Can't believe I'm saying this out loud right now, but Josh is seriously the funniest person that I know. If you know me, you know it took a lot for me to admit. His humor and contagious laughter truly can light up any room he walks into. He's one of the most compassionate and loving people I know, and he has never failed to be there for me, despite whatever he is dealing with on his own. Our bond is something that I truly cherish, and I'm forever grateful for the relationship that we have. My sister Angelina is my best friend in the entire world. She is truly the glue that holds our family together. She has stepped up in ways I could have never imagined, not just for me, but for our brothers as well. For as long as I can remember, she has made us feel cared for, appreciated, important, and loved. She has held my hands through the most difficult times of my life and cheered for me during the happiest ones. Despite the 2,106 miles between us, my sister has made it a priority to always be involved in every moment of my life without hesitation. She's the most selfless person I know and never thinks twice about offering a helping hand, no matter who it is. She's extremely loving, caring, and thoughtful, and anyone that knows her knows that that is an understatement. She is my biggest role model and the person I strive to be more like every day. I truly do not know what my brothers in my life would look like without our sister, Angelina. I feel so incredibly lucky to have her as not only my sister, but my best friend. My siblings are all a direct reflection of the type of person their dad was, and they are not far from him. They love others the way their dad loved them, take care of everyone the way their dad took care of them, and make you laugh just as hard as their dad made everyone laugh. They exhibit his compassion, love, and unwavering support that he showed us our entire lives. They are wholeheartedly the kindest people I know. I'd be lying if I said watching my siblings lose their dad and navigate this journey hasn't been the most difficult and heartbreaking thing I've ever done. It truly feels like a part of my heart is missing. However, I feel eternally grateful to see Mike and my siblings every day. His love for sports, especially the Angels, his smile and his stupid humor, his obnoxious ability to be good at everything he does, even the dumbest things you can think of, his selflessness and how he constantly puts others before him, his love for the Lord and his Christ-driven lifestyle, and most importantly, his love for his family. I'm seriously surrounded by 3 mini Mikes, and I honestly can't complain about it. He truly loved us and everyone around him like no other. His love was pure, vulnerable, and real. Exactly a week before his passing, just as I got off my flight in Syracuse, he texted me, "Anytime I can see my little girl, I'll try to get you out here." Little girl is what I called you when you were born. I said, "Hi little girl, I love you always, and I miss you already." With everything being said, Daddy Mike, I will continue to love like you do. I will always love you with all I have to give, and I will forever be your little girl.
Hi everybody. Thank you for all being here today. All the words of encouragement and love sent to my dad helped him more than you can ever imagine. On days where he felt like giving up, I'm certain he thought of all of who are here today. All my life, it had been my father, my sister Angelina, my brother Nolan, and myself living together as a happy family. About 3 years ago, that began to change. Nolan had gone up to the University of Nevada, Reno, and Angelina had gone up to Utah to start a new chapter in her life as a newlywed to the love of her life, Jake. That would leave just my dad and myself back here in Vegas. And in that time, we had become best friends. Every spontaneous idea my dad had, we acted on it and ran with it. We had started a podcast and mainly talked about sports and debated for hours and hours. He loved the dynamic perspectives of old versus new school, which led to lots of LeBron versus MJ GOAT debates. We had also begun to film food reviews. We named it the Dad and Son Eating Show, where we carefully critiqued our meals and gave it a rating 1 through 10. Whether it's the Zippies across town or a home-cooked meal, the review was sure to happen and be sent out to the family group chat. My favorite dad and son hobby of ours was that we became gym bros. Dead set on the idea of looking buff for upcoming family pictures, we hit the gym day in and day out. Although he would always lift heavier and look bigger than me, he would never make fun. I was always met with words of encouragement. These hobbies started out just as fun things to do, but really became an excuse to spend time with each other. He was my best friend, but always a father first. He never missed an opportunity to teach and instill the values that were embedded so deeply into his character. He taught me what it meant to be strong, not just physically, though you could certainly tell, but he taught us emotional, mental, and spiritual strength, a great deal of which was needed every summer. No one can prepare you for the heartbreak that is separating from your kids. He described it as devastating, heart-wrenching, and lonely. His whole world gone for just 3 months, but to him felt like a lifetime. He could have been selfish and kept us from going to Long Beach, but he knew how important it was for his 3 kids to spend time with their mother and little sister. The greatest feat of strength my dad displayed happens to be my favorite. He was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, a cancer unforgiving and sure to take his life. However, from the way he carried himself, you can never tell. Not an ounce of worry or panic entered his mind. He constantly reassured us that he was at peace with the situation and reminded us that he is exactly where the Lord wanted him to be. His faith never wavered. In fact, it grew stronger. My dad spent the last couple of months in an indescribable amount of pain. His body weakened and began to fail. Even in this state, I would occasionally see him muttering under his breath. His eyes would still shut, and body remained still, maintaining complete focus. He was praying. It was the same prayer he'd recite to God, his favorite verse, Psalms 23. A testament to my dad's faith, symbolizing full submission to the Lord and finding peace. His strength never boasts, but uplifted and always delivered on his promises. He also taught us not only to love, but to love with all our hearts. There is a stigma between a father and son's relationship, where love is rarely ever shown or told to one another, almost as if respect holds the bond together rather than an authentic connection. My dad made sure that would never happen. For the 19 years that I've lived, there is not one day he didn't remind me of how much love he had for me. It was a love that was never shy and always affectionate. A love patient, kind, and compassionate. A love that forgave and truly unconditional. It extended further than just words as well. Naturally, he introduced us to things that he loved and was incredibly passionate about. Music was food to his soul. We used to play a game where we would switch between different radio stations, and my dad would try to sing along to whatever was playing. Of course, he knew every song that played every single time. I had also asked him what he missed most about being independent, and he answered with driving by himself and singing at the top of his lungs. Food was also food to his soul, and boy did he love it. I'm talking chocolate cake, lumpia, clearly a double-double animal style. That dude was a vacuum. He was actually known to finish his food before any of us made our plates. Each day he told us about a new food spot he found on Instagram and the excitement he felt thinking about going there with us one day. But his true love would always be sports. He taught us how to swing a bat the moment we could hold it upright without falling over. Practice became part of our daily routine and etched into our lifestyle. His competitive nature burned bright, and he exclaimed how thrilled he was to see that passion within his kids. Of course, that competitiveness never leaves. The trash talk between my dad and I had gone bad. He believed he could still play, and I simply thought he was too old. So we decided to go out and put our money where our mouths are, and we had a 1v1 to finally settle who was a better basketball player. My dad whooped my ass. It was close. I cannot begin to tell you how grateful I am that he was himself around us. Although my dad had an optimistic view on his diagnosis, he would be the first to tell you that he had become a burden. He apologized constantly for waking us up to help him take him to the bathroom or to help sit him up in his bed to ease some tension in his stomach. He couldn't help but to ask for forgiveness from us because he needed assistance 24/7. But there's no words to describe how much of a blessing he truly was rather than a burden. He was a walking testimony, fully displaying that God blesses you with all that you need in life. When he began to fatigue, I had become so grateful and thank God that he could still walk on his own. When he could no longer walk on his own, I had become even more grateful and thank God even more that he could still get up on his own and muster enough strength to sit in his wheelchair. When he lacked enough energy to pretty much do anything, I had become the most grateful that he was still living and thank God for what a blessing it was to hug and kiss him goodnight. My dad helped grow my faith in the Lord more than I could ever imagine. And for that, I will forever be indebted to him. I want my dad more than anything right now. His smile, his laugh, the sound of his voice. It's hard not to ask why this is all happening. But I've learned to hold God's unchanging hand and recognize the abundant love he has for us. And thanks to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, I will see you one day. I love you so much.
I want to thank everyone for being here. I think if my dad could see a room full of the people that he loved, it would mean the world to him. He wouldn't say it, but he would definitely feel that way. So thank you. My dad was my best friend. Most days, he was the first person I saw when I woke up, and the last person I would see before going to sleep. We'd have the same conversation every morning over a cup of coffee. Depending on the time of year, we talk about baseball or basketball or football. The teams that look good and the teams that don't, who we think had a shot to win it all, and what teams were just pretending. One day it was in his gym rotation. Any stories he had from work the day before, and how the Angels still suck, but maybe they'll be good enough to sneak into the playoffs. And once you're in the playoffs, then anything can happen. That exact structure at least 100 times. All through his life, my dad imparted on us his excellent taste in music, a lifelong love of sports and competition, and a very vulgar sense of humor. He could laugh at anything, especially himself. Nothing was off the table. I'll always remember the conversations we'd have late into the night and the fits of laughter that happened constantly whenever we were around him. My dad lived by a set of values that he passed down to us. If you're going to do something, then do it right. If there's something you need to do, then do it, even if it's difficult, and especially when it's for your family. Respect the time of others and leave the house early. Always have a plan and write things down. If someone wrongs you, then find it in yourself to forgive them. And if you wrong someone, take accountability and apologize. They weren't lessons that he had to sit down and tell us. He just lived them every single day. And we watched and learned from his example. One of the things that I really admired about my dad was the way that he truly loved the life that he was given. He loved being a dad to 3 children. He loved where he worked and the people that he worked with. He loved getting a workout in. He loved his house and the memories that we made in it. He loved watching games with his boys. He loved watching shows and talking to his daughter. He loved taking his family out to eat. All of the challenges, the fulfillment, the process of failing and learning and then succeeding, he loved every second of it. He was never shy about expressing it either, not in a boastful way, but purely because he was overflowing with gratitude for the blessings that he had been given in his life. Above all else, my dad put family right at the center of his life. He never missed a game or practice or school event, even on days when everybody had something. He always found the time to be there for us. Dad never failed to make us feel like we were important to him. Every single day, he would let us know how proud he was of his children. I love you, son, and I'm proud of you. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that sentence. Even during the moments in my life that I really screwed up and a statement like that felt undeserved. Somehow, he managed to make those words feel honest and genuine every single time. It's from those moments that I've come to understand that a love that a father has for their children is boundless and unconditional. I find solace in the fact that during his battle with cancer, my dad was able to find comfort in that same type of love from our Father in heaven. When Dad got the initial diagnosis, he didn't express any panic or resentment for his situation. From the beginning, Dad was calm, at total peace with the hand that he had been dealt. As treatment progressed and he was stripped of his mobility, physical strength, hair, and weight, Dad's faith never wavered. Rather, it continued to grow stronger. One night in the hospital, Dad shared his favorite verse with us. It reads as follows: "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever." In every aspect, Dad, you set the example for who I want to be as a brother, as a father, as a friend, and as a man. I've seen the way you approach every situation with honesty and integrity and your full, uncompromising effort, and I intend to do the same. It has been difficult to come to terms with the reality of you not being here. There's so many life experiences we've had yet to encounter that I wish you were here to guide us through, to let us know that we'll figure it out and that you love us. I think about you every time I listen to a song that you love to sing, every time I make a cup of coffee, every time I put on a baseball cap, every time the Angels blow a lead late in the game, every time I remember one of our inside jokes. For now, I wait for that day when we can sit down and have that conversation again. We'll talk about the teams that look good this year, the teams that have a shot to win it all, and the teams that are protected. I'll share the exciting things that happened in my life and the things that were difficult. You can tell me all the stories you've told me a million times, and I can finally tell you, I love you, Dad, and I'm proud of the life that you lived.
Okay, after I'm done talking, we can go get something to eat because these past couple months I've been very hungry. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Angelina. I'm Mike's oldest kid. Jake is my husband, and we have a baby girl that will be joining us at the end of next month. First off, I just wanted to thank everyone for being here, whether you love one of us or you loved my dad. I'm very grateful. It's been 2 weeks and 4 days since my dad passed away, and it's been the shortest and longest time of my life. Sometimes I think back to that morning. It was so peaceful. And it was just the way that my dad would have wanted it. He was surrounded by all the people that he loved the most. Okay, sorry. Oh, and he had a setup in his hospital room that was very Mike-esque. So let me paint the picture for you. He had an angel's blanket laid on him. He had his favorite angel's hat right next to him on his pillow. He had a picture of his family on his left side, a picture of an ultrasound of his granddaughter on his right side. And to top it all off, he had a baby onesie that he laid on his chest. But it wasn't any baby onesie. It was a Mike Trout baby onesie. To say that this whole process during the season of my life has been difficult would be an understatement. The only word that comes to mind is bittersweet. It's been the greatest joy of my life, growing this baby and preparing to become a mom. But at the very same time that I'm becoming a parent, I've lost my own and the ability to share the rest of this experience with him.